You've played MegaMan StarForce 3. You likely know about noise change, and while it's presented as an answer to Battle Network's style changes, the two systems could not be more different. Style changes are directly influenced by your decisions in the game. Every action you take in battle helps to determine what style you're going to get. Meanwhile, the noise changes you get are seemingly random with almost no way to influence them. But there are a few tricks that can help you get the one you want, and that includes getting ones from the opposite version. We'll go over how to do that now. So, drink some water, do your stretches, and let's get started.
Oh look, it's Skiddo. Skiddo wants you to support on Patreon. You will support on Patreon. You will.
Midway through MegaMan StarForce 3's story, you encounter Dark Phantom. At the same time, noise energy surrounds you, and you're thrown into a virus battle. Truthfully, this battle is easy, but the end result gives you your first noise change. Afterward, you learn about how a noise change works, and you're given either the Ace or Joker program, which will allow you to use this power at will. It also gives you access to the Black Ace and Red Joker finalized forms, but that's a topic for another time. Today, we're just going to focus on obtaining the specific noise change you want. And while you've likely heard that certain noise changes are version exclusive, that's not true either. The truth is, they're just way more likely to appear in a specific version. There are 11 noises in total, and they are Corvus, Gemini, Ophiucha, Libra, Cancer, Taurus, Wolf, Singus, Crown, Virgo, and finally, Rogue noise. You'll notice that each version is likely to get a noise with the 4 main elements as well as no element. So, unlike Double Souls and Battle Network, you don't have to worry about your version to get your favorite type. When it comes to specific noises, that's a slightly different story. The good news is that cycling through noises is way simpler than you'd expect. It just requires a little luck. Here's the main difference from MegaMan Battle Network style changes. It's actually way faster to get a noise change than it is to get a style change. Style changes require over 100 battles before you could get one, while noise changes' only requirement is to win a non-story G-Virus battle. So there's a very real chance that you can jump into a noise change causing battle 2 times in a row. First, let's go over the basics. Like we said, after you get your first noise change through the story, all you need to do to get the next one is to win a G-Virus battle. So, how do you get into a G-Virus battle? The way to get a G-Virus battle is a little random, but it truly does depend on luck. You need to start a battle that's preceded by a warning screen. And trust me, you'll know it when you see it.
Warning, 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 warning.
However, warning screens also appear right before random boss encounters. So, to decrease the likelihood of accidentally fighting a boss instead, just go into an area where there are no boss encounters. Basically, every main wave road will have a chance of a boss fight, but if you go into a cybercore instead, you'll be safe to farm for noise changes. But there's a few things you should know about finding these fights because it's a little counterintuitive. When players try to influence the chances of finding a certain enemy, they usually use 2 items, Search Eye and Cloaker. These are the StarForce equivalents of Battle Network's Lock Enemy and a Sneak Run, respectively. Search Eye normally increases the likelihood of finding the last enemies you fought, but in this game, it will never find G-Viruses. Meanwhile, Cloaker increases the likelihood of finding boss enemies and decreases the likelihood of finding standard enemies. So the bad news is that they're not good for finding G-Viruses, but the good news is that you can save your Zenny for other things. Anyway, after you've fought and defeated a group of G-Viruses, there's a check to see if you'll obtain your next noise change. There's a 33% chance you'll get a noise change, and if you happen to fail this check, don't worry, because that may actually help you. Every time you fail to get a noise change, the chances you'll get one next time increase. This goes up incrementally until your 5th battle against G-Viruses, where you'll have a 100% chance of getting a noise change. But it gets better. That chance increase remains increased until you actually get the noise change. For example, say you fight G-Viruses and fail the 33% chance to get a noise change. Now, the chances increase to 50%. The next time you fail the check, it'll increase to 70%. But say you get a noise change you don't want. This is where the trick comes in. If you save your game after failing each noise change check, the increased odds will also be saved. In other words, say you fail to get a noise change a few times, and your odds are now 70%. If you saved your game, you can always reset it and keep trying using those 70% odds. This will allow you to keep trying to get different noise changes easily, and we'll talk about why you'd want to do that in a little bit. Okay, so now we know how to get a noise change in general. Now, how do we get the one we want? We're in luck, because it behaves in a flowchart-like system. The first time you get your noise change, it's only going to pull for the 5 noises associated with your version. For example, if you're playing Black Ace, you'll have a chance to get Libra noise as your first noise, but you won't have any chance of getting Cygnus noise, since that one is exclusive to Red Joker. Once you have your first noise change and win a non-story G-Virus battle, you'll have a chance to get your second noise change, and once again, your noise options will be associated with your version. But if you already have a specific noise stored, you won't get it again. For example, if you already have Libra noise as your first noise change, you won't get it for your second. Instead, you'll have a 25% chance to get any of the other 4 noise changes associated with your version. But once you accept that second noise change, your options open up. Before we continue, it's also worth noting that you can store 2 noise changes at a time. One of them is held by MegaMan at all times, and the other one is held by Mr. Hertz in National Astro Wave 1. Keep in mind, you have to accept the second noise change in order to get any other noise other than the 5 associated with your version. So it's worth taking the second one, even if you don't want it. Just go to the Mr. Hertz in National Astro Wave 1 and get your first one back if you feel the need. Now, let's talk more about that flowchart. Once you've reached Dark Phantom in the story, obtained your first noise change, and then obtained your second one, you now pass the first 2 checks and have the ability to get all 11 noise changes. If your goal is to get rogue noise, congrats. This may be the easiest one to guarantee. First, you need to have no friends.
The gang's all here.
That also includes opponent noise data. You can't have any of that equipped. Although you can equip access ports from the secret satellite server, and it won't discourage the game from giving you rogue noise. But if you have real people in your brother band slots, whether it's your friends or an opponent noise from a random online battle, the rogue noise check is skipped. Speaking of the rogue noise check, next, we have the rogue noise check. This is the first check after you've obtained and accepted your second noise. If you don't have any brothers or opponent noise in your brother band slots, there will be a 10% chance that you get rogue noise. If this check fails and you get another noise instead, the next time you're about to get a noise change, the chance will increase by 10% each time the check fails. For example, say you meet the requirements to get rogue noise, and you fail to get it. The chances now increase from 10% to 20%. If it fails again, it increases from 20% to 30%, and so on, until you successfully get rogue noise. Once you do get rogue noise, the chances return back to its default 10%. And if you happen to have no friends in your brother band slots during your first 2 noise changes, that 10% increase doesn't happen. It only starts checking for rogue noise after you've obtained and accepted your first 2 noise changes. This also makes rogue noise the only noise that you can't get as your first or second noise in either version. But it's also the easiest noise to get in both versions, so that's a fair trade-off. It's important to note that the Mr. Hertz in National Astro Wave can't store rogue noise, so if you obtain a new noise or trade out your other stored one, you'll have to go through the random encounter process to get it again. But thankfully, like we said, it's the easiest one to get. After the rogue noise check, the game checks whether or not it should give you a noise associated with your own version or the opposite version. There's a 12.5% chance or a 1 in 8 chance the game will decide to go with the opposite version. The rest of the time, the game will give you a noise from your own version. Once the version is decided, the game will pull from noises you don't have stored and give you a new one. If you don't have any of the version's noises, they're all a 20% chance. There's no way to influence the opposite version chance, but you can reduce the likelihood of getting repeat noises. For example, let's say you're playing Black Ace version and you want Wolf noise, which is usually associated with Red Joker. Normally, you'll have to go through the 1 in 8 chance of getting the opposite version noise, and then another 1 in 5 chance of getting the one you want. In total, that's a 1 in 40 chance, or 2.5% chance, that you'll actually get the opposite version you want when the game gives you a new one. Well, we have a strategy that will minimize the odds you get the wrong noise over and over again. First, make sure you have brothers or opponent noises equipped. This will remove the odds that rogue noise jumps in and interrupts you. Next, get into G-Virus battles until you have a guaranteed noise change in your next battle. In other words, try to get into 4 G-Virus battles without causing a noise change. Since the 5th G-Virus battle is always guaranteed to cause noise changes, this will be your best shot at increasing your chances. If you happen to get any opposite version noise on the way to the 5th G-Virus battle, save. Otherwise, reset your game. The reason you'll want to grab any opposite version noise is to increase the chances of getting the noise you want. Once you have an opposite version noise, it'll get removed from the options the game will give you. For example, say you currently have Taurus noise. When the game decides it's going to give you an opposite version noise, it can't give you Taurus noise again, so you'll get one of the other 4 noises instead. That's a 1 in 4 chance, or 25% chance, instead of the 1 in 5 or 20% chance. Seems like a small change, right? What difference does that make? Your chances just went up to 1 in 32, or a little over 3%. And if you happen to store 2 opposite version noises, one with MegaMan and one with the Astro Wave Mr. Hertz, your chances go up again to 1 in 24, or a little over 4%. That might not seem like a lot, but if you've ever shiny hunted in Pokemon, you know that a 1.5% difference is astronomical. Also, if you manage to get 4 G-Virus battles without triggering a noise change, your 5th G-Virus battle will guarantee one. So, after 4 non-noise change battles, save your game, enter your next G-Virus battle, and reset if you don't get the noise you want. Of course, there's a way to bypass all this entirely. If all else fails, you can always use the transformation archive to force yourself to get a specific noise change. This feature is similar to the tribe card system in StarForce 2. By entering a special code, you can make the game give you your chosen noise. But unlike the tribe card system, the transformation archive was removed from the international version of the game. But if the Battle Network Legacy Collection is any indication, this feature has a chance to return when the MegaMan StarForce Legacy Collection comes out. What was your first noise? And which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Check out my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.